Hey, Denise, how are you? I knew to expect a pretty long time from you. It looks great. We need the flip flops. All right, how are you, young man? Nice to meet you. How are you? Good to see you again. How's everything? How are you, young man? It's going to be a very nice meeting.
I hear you're trying to run for governor on when we do the next thing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Teresa Sanders, President and CEO of the Urban League of Long Island, and I've also co-chaired with our own mayor, one of the REDC's downtown redevelopments, and very excited about the process. Our mayor made it very easy to engage in the process. It was a new engagement for me, but understanding how the community becomes involved was very exciting, and I'm excited to see, it's falling, and I'm not sure, I don't think I did that, but I feel like
That's not your fault.
it's not my fault, okay.
No, not at all.
Saved by the press.
Yeah, this thing's kind of like. It might fall again. Let me do this.
It's okay.
We'll put it like.
Well, that was a good distraction, because I was getting nervous.
That's good.
So my job this morning, I'll switch right to that, is to introduce you to Robert J. Rodriguez, who is our 68th New York Secretary of State. So funny part is I go in, I'm reading the bio, I'm trying to remember certain things, I'm sitting there studying, and I'm like, first of all, who needs to introduce anybody from New York, right? Like, first of all, as you're a professional dealing with the energy in New York, you've got to be good, right? And we know based on his bio, his engagement, he is an outstanding professional who's going to give you a few words this morning to really give us an idea in terms of where New York is going in 2023. All of the excitement. I know when I came in, I had a couple of conversations about getting ready for the holidays and trying to relax, but also feeling very energetic in terms of what's going to happen in the years to come. So without further ado, Mr. Rodriguez.
Good morning, everyone. It's very exciting to be here with you in Long Island in particular to talk a little bit about our downtown revitalization initiative. I'm excited to be here on behalf of the governor. And I want to, of course, thank our mayor, Mayor Siri, and our Amityville Firehouse for hosting us today. And yeah, thank you. Why not? I want to, of course, recognize Town Supervisor Riverhead, Yvette Aguilar. And it's really great to see you in person. When we did the announcements a year ago, it was on little screens on the Zoom, and that was good at the time, but it's much more rewarding to be here, feel the energy and the excitement around what we're doing in these communities. But we could not do that work, particularly when we talk about the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, because it is a state program, without our partners in the legislature who help us fund the budget for programs like this. So I want to recognize Senator Brooks for all his service, and in particular, what we're going to be able to do here for these two communities. And Assemblymember Jody Giglio, one of my colleagues in government. And we also have representatives from Assemblymember Kimberly Jean-Pierre's office. So thank you all for being here with us. And to recognize this, we also want to recognize Teresa Sanders and David Capel, who are members of the REDC. Those are our Regional Economic Development Councils, and they help steer us to make sure that we have community-based economic development projects that really do reflect the needs and desires of the community. So thank you. Teresa, thank you for the warm introduction. And here we are. After a year of work to celebrate the good news, we began this conversation a year ago when we talked about the $10 million awards for Amityville and Riverhead that marked our round 5 of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. And now we're going to talk about what that means specifically in terms of projects. But for those who aren't familiar with the Downtown Revitalization Initiative program, it is the cornerstone of the state's economic development policy, where we transform downtown neighborhoods into vibrant centers of activity. We have to give special recognition because the way the process works is that after we make the announcement of the award, we convene our local planning councils, committees. And these are members of the community, nonprofits, leaders, elected leaders, a variety of people who come together with the idea and the vision to help us figure out what this award is going to do. What are the projects that are going to be done? What is the strategic investment plan? So I just want to recognize those members because they gave up countless hours to figure out first the list of projects and then narrow it down to just $10 million. So please, to our local planning committee members, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your meeting time, because we're going to be celebrating all that hard work shortly. So with that, I'm proud to make this announcement, and we're going to speak a little bit about how we get these communities into the 21st century through rejuvenated infrastructure that will spark economic development and progress. DRI allows communities to take hold of that transformation, set forward the way that it will move forward, and prioritize those needs that are really reflective of the community. So this is the moment we've all been waiting for. On behalf of Governor Hochul, it's my distinct pleasure to announce the projects for both Riverhead and Amityville. So let's start with Amityville. They've been able to squeeze a tremendous amount out of $10 million with 11 projects. So one of the things that I would say as we move into the slide deck is Amityville made it a priority to focus on its transit-oriented nature, to make sure that we're able to revitalize the streetscapes along downtown, really make pedestrian improvements, allow for more walkability, particularly between Avon Place to West Smith Street, and make sure that there's connectivity between the Long Island Railroad Station and the downtown. So the first award, and probably the largest committed amount, is implementing complete streets on Broadway to the tune of $5.0 million. As you can see, we're going to put new sidewalks, curb cutouts, trees, and make sure that there's a real walkability amongst the downtown. Next, $1.3 million going towards revitalizing the Long Island Railroad Station and the connections to the downtown. Now, we know that when you're walking underneath, there's a lot of pillars, lighting. How do we activate that space? That was another key priority for the revitalization plans. Next is, after we put significant investments in the downtown streets and in terms of this connector, we have to be able to make sure the signage is right. So wayfinding was another award to make sure that we're able to connect all of these things, and you get that visualization when you're either coming off the train or walking around downtown to acclimate yourself to the various destinations that you can reach from downtown. Next, we start to move into the building space and looking at how we revitalize certain buildings to create both commercial and housing needs. So for 21 Green Street, we're going to take the former Village Hall, which will be redeveloped and repurposed as a mixed-use building, allowing for 8 residential units, including office and commercial space, all within the existing framework of the building. We've also made sure, whenever you're doing these kind of large-scale downtown revitalizations, one of the most important things that we try to do is make sure that our small businesses, our mom and pops, get resources to help them connect to the transformation that's happening. So we have put together a commercial storefront revitalization fund, looking at $600,000 so that small businesses along the corridor can invest in their businesses and in their storefronts to be part of the transformation that's happening. Along those lines, we know that a downtown is marked oftentimes by activity. That's why some housing is important, so that folks continue to utilize the downtowns, but also to make sure that we have a variety of commercial and shops in the downtown. So one of the things that we committed a significant amount to is rehabilitating an office building at 137 to 157 Broadway. So almost $425,000, focusing on revitalizing this 22,000 square foot commercial space, while making sure that we honor the historic design and the overall aesthetics of what's happening in the village. The next space that we're going to look to hopefully reinvigorate is Losey's Corner with Hook and Ladder number 1. That's what we need. Some excitement about that one. That one made it through. $277,000 to really focus on 3 of Amityville's oldest structures, to be able to renovate them and connect them to the rest of the downtown. So the corner of Park Avenue and Ireland Place will look dramatically different, but making sure that we put in the investment that we need in our historic ones that bring that charm, that quality, that character that we all love to rave about when we go into downtowns. Another building that we're looking to enhance is 140A Broadway. Now, one of the things that we know is that we need downtowns that have a variety of different shops, but we also know we need dining options. We want our folks to come, walk, have a meal, and enjoy the community. So this is one of those areas that was identified as a mixed-use dining and office building that will be for $235,000. And that will be followed by another eatery at 217 Broadway for $150,000. We know we have to eat. We know we want to be downtown. We know we want to enjoy it. And those are some of the things that make it interesting. Now, when we talk about DRIs, generally they have a variety of assets that we're looking to always enhance. It's either parks and open space. It's certainly historic buildings. It's certainly walkability. Sometimes there's waterfront features, which we'll talk about maybe on the next one. But importantly is arts and culture. There generally is at least a central part in a downtown that represents cultural investment. And that's what we have here with our artist studio at 187 Broadway. Currently a vacant commercial space on Broadway that will be renovated and repurposed into a shared studio for local performing theater and visual arts. The new space will include a combined dance studio and theater, and a visual arts workshop that will be made available to community members on an hourly basis. So arts and culture, in addition to the work that we're doing along the Long Island Railroad, should really add that sense of pizzazz to what's happening here. And I joke because as we get to our last project, in DRIs, we have seen a consistent theme based on the desire of New Yorkers. It's generally a wine bar, a brewery, or some other kind of facility that allows for that. And Amityville will not be left behind. In our last project, we have at 136 Broadway an outdoor beer garden for $140,000 that will go and connect to Carney's, an existing Irish pub and restaurant that will allow for live music, artists and different kinds of performances, but really to help provide another area and opportunity for people to commune in the downtown and to make sure that we create that sense of vibrancy and community that we know exists, especially as we move into the warmer months and that we are all looking forward to experiencing soon. So with that, that's Amityville. That's the list. A huge round of applause. They found a way to get 11 projects out of their award, and really I think what we know is that there's so many exciting things that are happening in Amityville. On the way in, we see that there's large developments that are happening, and we know that there are people in demand. Now we just have to figure out how to get them to support their downtowns and give them a reason to stay. And that's really the goal around our economic development programs, is that we know that there are incredible assets in our downtown that just need a little bit of sprucing up, and that's what we're here to do. So let's move on to our sister town village in Long Island. Let's talk a little bit about Riverhead. Now, even though it's 8 projects, there's still an amazing 8 projects. It's not about always the quantity, it's about the quality too. So, for those not familiar, the town of Riverhead sits at the junction of the North and the South Forks on the east end of Long Island, at the mouth of the Peconic, and provides access to beaches and other natural resources. So it's truly an incredible community that, although further west, is largely rural and agricultural, and has become one of the state's burgeoning wine-growing regions, which is important because we want more of those tourists to come by and drink our wine and spend some time in Long Island. So where they focused on is to make sure that we create that connectivity between downtown and the riverfront. So the first way that they've done that is really to focus on a new town square. So $3.2 million will focus on building a new public plaza and gathering space that can facilitate year-round activation and vistas from both Main Street to the riverfront. Also, enhancing Peconic Park with an adaptive playground. That's $245,000. Now, we know how important playgrounds are. As a dad of 2 young kids, the best way to keep us anywhere is to have activities for the children. So this is a way that we can bring them downtown, bring them into the public square, and also allow us to provide a variety of different programming that will really be enhance the family experience. Also, the next thing is to create pedestrian walkability amongst our downtowns. After we make these significant investments, if you don't have a place to go to push your stroller, that's a problem. So making sure that we have a pedestrian realm along Main Street. Dealing with the streetscape, creating an active entryway, making sure that we provide the calming elements for street traffic, make it pedestrian friendly, raised crosswalks, pedestrian signaling, installing new street trees and landscaping. So I think that will also help to make Main Street shine. That's $750,000, and a unique feature, because we are focused on the waterfront, is creating a new town rowing facility. That's $250,000 to create a floating ADA accessible community boat launch facility that will allow us to launch crew boats, as well as to store and be a launch for kayaks and other boats. We know Long Island feels very strongly about their waterfront access, so we want to make sure we continue to celebrate that and make that shine. As I mentioned a little earlier, the cultural and arts perspective is really a way that we celebrate the local artists in our community, make sure that they're part of the transformation that's happening. And Riverhead has made a commitment to that by making sure that we have a public art program. $250,000 to engage local artists to build permanent public artworks in downtown Riverhead, building on the success of existing community artworks. So important, it helps tell the story of your community by local artists who are from and part of your community. An additional cultural component is the Suffolk Theater. $2 million to focus on expanding the historic theater stage and add green room and back of house functions. All are important to making sure that it can tie in to what's happening in the broader area regarding residential units and workforce housing. So this is going to be amazing, but it's incredible to recognize the role of libraries in many of our communities. Libraries are an important source of information, but also an important gathering space, especially for and around education. So we've been able to invest $215,000 to focus on a new entrance and welcome center for the library. Excellent. It's a rendering. Don't worry, we're going to cut a ribbon on that. So those are two of the components. The last component is, of course, focusing on supporting housing and business opportunities along the downtown, of which there are a few. So one of the areas is on Griffin Avenue, creating a mixed-use development, focusing on workforce housing and retail and commercial space for $2.7 million. So combined, all of these projects will help attract tourists to come enjoy the wine area that's happening, enjoy the beaches, enjoy the waterfront, and all the things that make Riverhead and Long Island in general a unique place to visit. But what we know is this isn't just about tourists. This isn't just about folks who are coming to visit. It's about increasing and improving the quality of life for the residents who are here, to be able to attract our children to stay in the community that they grew up in, provide the amenities that will allow them to easily return after their little stint in the city or whatever else they're doing, but recognizing that the downtowns of Amityville and Riverhead are just as attractive, for raising families and supporting communities when they're invested in. So this is when the fun part begins. It's important to say there's stages. The honeymoon stage is when you're announced, right? And then you guys have done a year's worth of work to get us to the strategic investment plan to really identify where these $10 million are going to go. And it's important for us to really highlight, this program is not about the state coming in and telling you what the community should do. This is your vision. This is the vision of the communities, of the mayor, of the supervisor. This is the vision of folks coming together in a deliberative process to get us to these really amazing projects. And I would say now the last phase is we got to get it done. The last phase is actually going out there, building it, and then hopefully in 2 to 3 years, I know people had said longer, but 2 to 3 years, we can cut some ribbons on a few projects and show the process and the transformation that's happening. So I remain excited about the future of Amityville and the future of Riverhead and the future of Long Island, because it really is a key to the future of New York State's growth. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you to everyone here who has done a tremendous job to make sure that we're in a position to really grow and make Long Island more prosperous in the future. With that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Siri to give us a few words.
Hey, thank you. A lot of exciting stuff. Thank you all for coming out today. And I'd like to say, yes, Amityville and Riverhead, there is a Santa Claus. So we had a lot of great projects. Very happy with the ones that were picked. I think it's going to be a lot of great things. And also, before I get going to it, I'd like to thank very much the state for giving us this award, first of all. I got to thank the LPC members for giving your time and coming together as a community to come up with a lot of great projects and picking out the good ones. And there was a lot of time you spent, as you know. Thank you very much. Thank you, Wendy O'Neill, my assistant, and left right-hand person, Catherine Murdoch, the Board of Trustees, and as far as I'm thanking everybody, my wife, because she put up, my wife Nancy May, put up with a lot of stuff too going through it, so thank you. And I'd be remiss if I did not give a big thank you to Edward Lamson over there with the consulting team. I got a lot of phone calls at like 10 o'clock at night, 7 in the morning, you know, about this, but Ed, you put a lot of work into it, so thank you very much. It's great to see, we started this maybe 8 to 10 years ago with our Downtown Revitalization Committee, and we talked about a lot of what we need in Amityville, what we want, what we ought to have, all these things, and all these dreams and visions were all dependent on money. So all these great ideas, and we got the money, and now we have the reality of it. So it's just great to see, and I'm hoping, you know, 10 years that we can look back on this and say we did really good things. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Congratulations to Riverhead. All your projects look great. You're doing a great job with that town over there. So I'm going to introduce Supervisor Yvette Aguilar. And congratulations. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to have my colleague up here with me. It's been a pleasure working with you, Mr. Mayor. As soon as the committee was announced, you knew that we were going to be co-chairs, and you were a gentleman, and you reached out to me immediately, and there was no looking back. We worked steadfast together. We moved together. We believed in things. We didn't always agree, but never was there one point of discourse between us and our relationship. And I'm glad to know you. I hope I keep working with you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Supervisor. It's been my privilege.
For millions around the world, this is the season of believing. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for believing in Riverhead. Best Christmas gift Riverhead can ever get. Since being awarded the $10 million New York State Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant in January of 2020, Riverhead town staff and our local planning committee have worked diligently with the entire New York State DRI team to advance this critical project in the town of Riverhead. As most of you are aware, during 2020, amidst a global pandemic, Riverhead moved forward to purchase 3 buildings, demolishing 2, making way for our new town square. We are now connecting downtown Main Street to our riverfront, something that needed to be done many, many years ago. To those who served on the LPC, thank you again for your dedication. One of our LPC members is no longer with us, Sister Margaret Smith of the North Fork Spanish Apostle in Riverhead, passed away peacefully in her sleep yesterday. May she rest in peace. And I would be profoundly remiss if I did not, again, mention to the former mayor of Greenport, Dave Capel, that your vision and your gratitude to being part of this commission helped me move forward, and you made me believe. And again, I want to thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Further, I want to thank our Riverhead Town CDA director and her team, who's here with us today, Dawn Thomas. During the COVID lockdown, as soon as it started, she asked, "Can I come in and work?" And I said, "Well, I don't think the governor's gonna take me in handcuffs, as long as you social distance 6 feet away." So I thought it was her. That following morning, nobody's in the building except the supervisor's office, and I see a light coming down, a light shining from her office. I walked in, her whole staff was there. I was like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "They said if I'm coming in, they're coming in." And that started our whole process, and I want to thank you again, Dawn, and your professionalism, your ability to have a vision, to see, to work with people at all levels. I commend you, and it's been a pleasure working with you. Once again, I want to thank Governor Hochul, the Department of State, Empire State Development for their ongoing support and their continued belief in Riverhead. Thank you. Have a happy holiday, and God bless America.
It's a privilege to be here and represent the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council in this proceeding. I want to congratulate both Riverhead and Amityville on the outstanding work you've done in developing these projects and commend Secretary Rodriguez and Governor Hochul for funding them. This is a big event for both communities. Riverhead has a long history on Long Island and a proud history as the county seat. That's not only important in terms of its history, but also in terms of its future. If you look at a map of Long Island, specifically Suffolk County, Riverhead's dead center, both east and west. It's also the gateway to the Twin Forks, so it enjoys an incredibly strategic location, which has been realized, really, the success of that has been realized on Route 58 with the retail and office development that's occurred there. That now needs to happen downtown, and I truly believe that the projects that we've come up with are going to be the inspiration for a revitalization of downtown Riverhead that will bring it back to the center of life that it's always been on Long Island. Before I close, I want to ask Secretary Rodriguez to take one message back to Governor Hochul for us. Electrify the line from Ronkonkoma to Riverhead. That would truly change the game for the entire east end of Long Island. As a Greenport resident, I can tell you that we live in a transit wasteland. There are 2 trains a day out of Greenport to get into Manhattan. Electrifying that line would allow us to come to Riverhead and enjoy the benefits that all Long Islanders have to modern rail service on Long Island. Lastly, I want to thank Supervisor Aguiar. It's been such a privilege to work with you. I admire your leadership, and it's been a great partnership. I hope to continue it. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Thank you very much.
Sorry, there's always that one last person that you forget. And I don't think Riverhead or Amityville could have gotten to this point without Jeanette Roush. Thank you very much for everything. I know we're going to be dealing with you a lot more, and it'll be a pleasure. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everybody. That concludes the program. Please feel free to mingle, and of course, if we'll take any questions, after the program. So thank you.
It was great. Just put this on you real quick. Sorry.
Oh, feel free.
Coming in to get photo.
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
I'll take a picture.
Thank you.
It's coming in. There you go.
I'll give you a little visual there.